Hi everybody. Here we are again chasing after a new trick on a skateboard at the age of 45. This time I'm going after backside flip. My kick flips have improved a lot over the couple of years now that I've been able to do them, and it's time to branch out a little bit farther. I started playing with these on July 2nd, if I remember right. I made a mistake of not keeping all of my footage from way back when. My storage was getting full and I was doing some purging, and I lost some of my really early footage of some of my really early tries, but that's okay because they're not any good anyway. So some of these tries that you're seeing are a lot farther in than the very first ones. I started with just kind of going for it, going for the idea of trying to do a kickflip and a backside 180 at the same time. But there's a lot of subtleties to it that I didn't understand once I got going with this. I spent a lot of time trying to improve my backside 180s just to get them more consistent, and I tried to get them with some more pop, but for some reason that's really hard to do for me. So when I started these sessions when I was going for backside flip, I would do a bunch of backside 180s and a handful of kick flips to kind of get both of those into my muscles and get used to the feeling and everything, and then started going for the combination. And it felt like I was either staying on top of the board, which was great, or I would get the board to do the flip and the spin that it's supposed to do, but I would be nowhere near it, and I could never really get those things to sync up. So here we are a little farther in. There's some more backside 180s to kind of get the juices flowing. And then I'm into something different. I'm going for varial flips. Aaron Cairo helped me out again on learning this trick, suggested that I try varial flip because the motion of your feet is essentially the same, but you're not turning your body. And there are some other subtle differences, but it was a really good step to practice to get the board to do what I needed to do. And on this day, I finally did start getting a few successful varials, which is really good for me because I have done a few in the past, but not very many of them at all. And I don't spend really much time at all trying to do varials. I've done a few and then I just kind of, let it go from there. And I have to say that it really did help. Not only did it feel good to land a few varials, it got my front foot trained on how to flick more efficiently. Not just like a kickflip that I'm kind of used to and is becoming more muscle memory, but now the board is turning and so the flick adjusts and does slightly different things. And doing the varial really helped me progress in getting the flick to be more correct. So then in that same session, I went to the backside flip and it instantly felt a little bit better. Was I getting closer? I don't know, but it was an improvement for sure. So I had some improvement, but still a ways to go. So in the next session, July 26th, another thing I realized that I need to learn, and another thing that Aaron suggested, was do a 90-degree ollie and then pivot the other 90. Now this is something I've never really done before, and those right there were my very first tries at actually doing it. It felt really weird at first. It was awkward. I was like, no, but my 180s usually turn quite a lot more than that, and I like to just kind of stick it and roll. I'm not good at sliding, at pivoting on purpose and making my wheels slide. It's something I kind of like avoid. Maybe it's consciously or subconsciously, but it was something I needed to work on if I was going to get this trick at all, because my chances of doing a full 180 with the flip were pretty low, but my chances of doing a 90-degree rotation with a flip were much better. And it definitely helped because I had a lot more tries where I got my feet back on the board and it was under me, but I just didn't get the pivot part of it and I kind of stumbled around. But again, it's all just little bits of progress at a time. So a couple days later, here I am again doing just 90-degree ollies and then forcing myself to pivot the other 90. And it's getting better. The skill there is developing, and I'm keeping weight on my toes as opposed to going to my heels, because if I go to my heels, I cannot pivot. So another small bit of improvement in just doing this. That little slide right there is the thing I'm not used to. So as I show some other tries here, I just want to offer some encouragement to other skaters out there, especially if you're learning, trying something new, whether you're a very beginner or very advanced, whether you're young, whether you're old, doesn't matter. Keep going, keep trying, do not give up. I'm one of those skaters that things don't really come that easily, or at least I feel that way. I have to work at these things really, really hard. I do hundreds and hundreds of attempts before I even make progress at the trick that I'm going for. So if I can stick with it at the age of 45, I know if you're out there struggling on a skateboard, I feel you, and I know you can do it too. Do not give up and just keep pushing yourself a little bit at a time and make that little bit of progress. Okay, so here in our next session, I warm up again with that same skill, the 90 degree and then the pivot, which is helping for sure. And then here on August 2nd, finally make some real progress.
I don't think it counts yet. I don't think I like it yet. It feels super clunky. Best one so far, no doubt. But if I could smooth out that connection, then we got it.
And that really became the big challenge of this trick for me, smoothing out that connection. I was getting better at turning 90, getting the board to flip and landing on it, and then I would just get kind of stuck there. So here I am pushing myself to get better at those slides. This time I didn't even do a 180, I just did a kick turn, about 90 degrees to the side, and then swing the back wheels around to do a slide. And then before I knew it, I was doing backside pivots, and there I'm even trying to connect it to a second pivot and do kind of a 360 pivot. It's still a little broken, but that felt really good, and I was like, wow, I'm actually sliding way better than I used to.
That was the best one yet. That was still, I have this delay in my brain. I land on the skateboard a little bit sideways, right? And I land there and nothing happens. Then I pivot, and I need to somehow get that landing and pivot connected.
Yep, I was getting a little frustrated at the fact that I was getting close, but I couldn't make that last piece connect and flow together and connect those movements and make it smooth. But overall on this day, I had tons of progress. I was landing on the board a lot more. Sometimes my toes would drag or I would actually land on it completely. But it was the pivot that was the thing that was frustrating me the most.
I'll be perfectly honest, I touched my toes on my right foot.
But this is one of those days when you can tell something different is going on because I'm getting so much closer and a lot more frequently too, like a lot more successful tries, close tries, rather than just frustration at not even coming close.
Since I'm thoroughly exhausted, I'm going to take that one as my last one. I'm done.
I am a big liar. I wasn't done. I don't know what brought me back, but I came back anyway and tried some more. And it's a good thing I did.
We're taking that one. We're taking that.
Now don't go away. I did like that one, don't get me wrong, but there was still that little bit of clunkiness that I have, that disconnect between landing and pivoting. It was way better. Maybe if I was on defense in a game of skate, you would count that, but it still was like the slightest bit unsatisfying. It was about 95% there. So here I am the next day at the skate park, and I love backside 180 on the hip. It feels so good. It's such a satisfying trick. And I've done a couple of kickflips on the hip, so I know that's possible. And I started saying in my mind, well, why shouldn't I try backside flip on the hip? It would actually make a lot of sense because I don't have to rotate 180 degrees. If I rotate 90 or a little bit more, then I can roll down the hip, and that actually works. Of course, I never actually got one, but it felt good to try. The hip has been something that I've really come to enjoy a lot more than I ever used to, now that I'm comfortable with it and I have some tricks that feel really good on it. So I'm back in the garage again, trying to smooth out the connection between the flip and the landing and that pivot. And on this day, it was a little bit frustrating because I never got another one that I liked that felt smooth, but I still was pretty consistent at getting it to flip, landing on it, and then doing that thing in my brain where I pause and then don't do the pivot. But the consistency is improving little bits at a time. I didn't get another one on this day, but you know, that's skateboarding. That's how it goes. You land a trick, you feel like you've got it, and then you come back to try some more and you don't get it. At least that's pretty normal for me. It's another battle. The next battle is to see if I can continue progressing and landing more consistently on a trick that's really hard for me. That's the way it was with kickflips. Kickflips were like this thing that I built up to, took forever to do, and then it took forever to actually get better at them so that I can actually do them here and there. And so here we are back at that hip, and I did my backside 180s. I got that kickflip there. I'm so happy with that kickflip. And it was almost like it was a sign. It was meant to be. I got this kickflip that I caught way up in the air with the back foot. Well, way up. For me, that's way up, you know. And after catching that one, I was like, okay, we're going straight into backside flip because that felt way too good. We got to go for it. So back to the hip with the backside flip, and so many tries this day, but getting so close, like kind of landing on it, but dragging my toes. Sometimes I would land on it, but my weight is completely wrong and I slip out one direction or another. But I didn't want to give up because it was feeling pretty good. There were a lot of moments that were so close and so much better than things that I've done before. I battled this for about a straight hour, and a straight hour for me doesn't mean try a few times and then kind of rest. It's kind of just nonstop, just go, 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 because I'm tenacious and stupid and I don't want to quit. And when I'm getting into that flow, I just have to keep going and keep trying, even though it completely wears me out and exhausts me. So once again, if you didn't hear it the first time, hear it the second time. Do not give up. Sometimes it won't happen that day or that week or whatever, but come back and try again at some point on that thing that you're working on a skateboard, because it is so worth it. And the longer and harder the battle is, the more gratifying the trick is when you finally get it. This one was about 5 weeks that this whole process took. And other tricks for me that have been really hard that I've battled, you know, over a month or 2 months or 3 months. When you finally get it, there's just no feeling like it. It's unbelievable. You kind of have to be a skateboarder or somebody that does a sport with all these tricks and things to understand what that's actually like. But finally, after all this sweat and all this effort, that one had a toe drag. Here we finally are.
Let's go. I'm so tired. Let's go.
I didn't even know what to say or think after landing it. It's a mix of disbelief and also relief to finally get what I was after, and excitedness. It's hard to explain. You just have to experience it for yourself. So get out there on a skateboard. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.